Hey, what is up guys? Marcy here, back to do another video, and today I've got an amazing game to showcase once again on Tournament Odyssey. We are back on Tournament Odyssey. I know you guys are probably getting a little bit fed up with this map, but I have good news. And that good news is there's going to be, probably by the time this VOD is released, or maybe a day after, there's going to be a new patch update with a new map. And that new map is going to be pretty phenomenal. It's going to be in the ranked map pool as well. Can't wait to play it. But Odyssey has been providing us with some pretty amazing games over the years. Even though it's repeated a lot, the games on it are typically decent. Now this game is completely mad. It is insane. We'll be playing as the Master Kane, and Senna will be down in the bottom playing as the Nod faction as well. Can't remember if he's Master Kane or not. I think he's Master Kane because I remember there was particle shredder turrets. But yes, we're going to be Nod, and so far nothing out of the ordinary. I'm going to go for a Raider Buggy Scout. You may think this is just a regular game if you're not doing anything weird so far. Well, I can't go shadow teams against Nod factions because Buggy will shut it down. In fact, you just need a buggy as Master Kane because they detect stealth. You didn't even need the bike. Neither one of us knew our factions, so it's a good call from me going for a Raider Buggy first, and you guys should probably do the same if you're playing as a Nod faction. Just don't draft any scouts. Build that Raider Buggy first. It only takes 5 seconds and they have a lot of armor. They can withstand a ton of punishment early on. Senna getting that expansion underway. Discussing with Chaosit at the moment some ideas for a Christmas themed 4K mod. Not sure if I'll have the time to do something like that, but there's going to be an R21 update which will fix a plethora of bugs and even an exploit which I won't disclose here, but it's an exploit and it will be fixed. Gonna go for an emissary here. I know it's a bit strange. You're thinking, Lee, what is going on? An emissary? This is really weird. And you're going for a secret shrine as well. You're building an emissary. You're building a secret shrine. You're also sending the emissary to the corner of the map. Yeah, I know you're pretty confused, but it all makes sense in a few moments. Building a tier 2 so I can upgrade one of my power plants, but of course there are more uses in building a tier 2, and that's going to be for an air tower because you can summon in the in this case the carrier, and lift that emissary up. It's going to allow me to transport it all the way to my opponent's base, and my aim here is to upgrade these infantry and get the Reckoner as well near his base. I want to deploy a war factory in his base, get that frontline repair next to the Reckoner. Dozer Blades provide a significant increase in armor in R21. It is plus 30% for the Reckoner, but Reckoners do move slower, and they have moved slower than the game for many years. They finally received a suitable buff to compensate for that. So early game they are the same as they was in rushing. Now with Dozer Blades they can withstand a bit more punishment. Harvester will be getting destroyed here for me, unfortunately. But I do manage to sneak in 2 Reckoners into his base. These 2 here are just to thin down his forces while I get down a war factory in his base. The last of the bikes will be taken out. And I've got a laser turret queued. My emissary so far is undetected. That Dozer Blade upgrade will complete soon as well. But unfortunately for me, I did not begin construction or deployment on that emissary. I thought before setting a refinery on my expansion, I should take that defensive tower, which are really good nowadays because they have more vision. Their vision range is the same as the weapon range, so you no longer need to micro your defensive tower to get the most range from it. Emissary does deploy, and Senna, sadly for me, does notice this very quickly. And he's already starting to focus down this Reckoner. I'm trying to put these missiles into that Reckoner. It's going to buy me some time. He's not focusing on the Reckoner that is empty. It's going to allow me to get a full health deploy next to my war factory here. First laser turret pops down for Senna. I'm going to lose this Reckoner right away. I do manage to kill a harvester. Some of those harvesters that are docking are getting really low on health. If I can squeeze out a bike, I can harass his harvesters more. But you can see, look how much DPS he has here. That's a lot of damage. That's like a dozen Scorpion tanks and 2 laser turrets. This Reckoner, though, is withstanding that damage. And I'm thinning down these forces. And for every kill, my rocket squads will be gaining ranks. It's already promoted to elite. And if I can get a heroic rocket, that's going to be amazing. And to stall the damage on this Reckoner, I'm going to deploy a silo to block the Scorpion tank damage, just so this Reckoner can momentarily get some healing. I sell off the silo immediately afterwards. And now there's 1 heroic rocket squad in that Reckoner. You can see I've got hallucinogenic grenades flying out of the hatches. You can't go infantry against this because those rocket squads also have a Confessor, which has a machine gun. Still retain 2 of these Reckoners, but an Obelisk of Light does get deployed, so the death of these Reckoners will be imminent. That Obelisk won't take too many shots to take them out, but with the repair tool on that Reckoner, it's still going to be a lot of damage. A second Obelisk does drop, and yeah, this is going to be it for me. These rockets are going to be forced to evac. I've got 3 promoted rocket squads, 2 of which are heroic. I need a means of taking out these tanks that are going to be attacking me. Good thing I grabbed that defensive tag, because it's going to mean reinforcements coming my way will most likely get taken out. A good option here against all these tanks would be to build Fanatics. Fanatics can't be crushed without exploding. You can't just crush the Fanatics out of the Hand of Nod. So that's going to be a good way for me to deter him going any further. Sadly, though, I do lose my halves there to the 1-click. Refinery does come down. And I'm going to just build another Reckoner. I've got 2 heroic rocket squads. If I can get a full health deployment in his base, that's going to be amazing. Followed up with attack bikes to detect the harvesters. I don't have any expansion refineries because he did click me. But if I keep up this economic damage, then maybe I can level the playing field a little bit more. That avatar's an issue because it can just crush my Reckoner. So instead of going in there with the Reckoner, I'm going to evacuate the 2 rocket squads and start focusing on this avatar. I'm getting rear damage on that avatar. Look at those heroic rocket squads go. I'm going to take that out and then head right back into that Reckoner. So I've got the Reckoner. The avatar has been destroyed. Husk will be going down as well. These 2 heroic rocket squads are going to start focusing on these Venoms. They have twice the rate of fire with that promotion rank. And it doesn't matter that he's got Tiberium Troopers there, because I've got that Confessor leader still alive, and that's benefiting from the heroic Veteran C2 firing twice as fast. So Tiberium Troopers are not the answer. It's really hard to counter this specific Reckoner without an avatar to crush or a bunch of Scorpion tanks. Venoms won't quite cut it, though gun damage does do a lot to Reckoners. This Reckoner is still continuing to pump out a ton of damage. And I'm going to follow this up with some flame tanks. And you can see I have established a full expansion now. Venom's going for the counterattack. Sinner does get the charged particle beam upgrade online. And I can presume he has an expansion on the left-hand side of the map, because he isn't bringing in much Tiberium here anymore. I do snipe one of those harvesters, though it could be that he's trapped here as well. I'm going to take out this laser turret and then go ahead and take out the shredder turret afterwards. This is probably the most amount of damage that two rocket squads have ever done in a game, for me at least. This is a real PvP game. It's very rare to see two rockets do this much, but I love it. I think it's great. Super unorthodox. Those Venoms continuing to be a problem for me. Those heroic rocket squads, I need to try and get into another Reckoner. I was praying that he did not see them. He's going instead for the flame tanks. Can't blame him, because I can just destroy that Redeemer engineering facility with those flame tanks. So he's going to respond to the flame tanks with the Venoms. So that's a pretty smart choice of him. The MCV would have been in jeopardy too. But he did forget about the rockets, and another full health Reckoner will approach this MCV. If I can get it near the MCV, I can target it down with those rocket squads, or better yet, destroy the Venoms. The Venoms can't sit around there and engage this. Look at that Reckoner go. This time I no longer have the repairs from a war factory, but it's going to be great cover for my rocket squads to continue up this pressure. A power plant does get dropped there for Senna to block any further damage. And yeah, this Reckoner is going to finally go down. Just a couple shredder turrets and that will fall. Gun damage, once again, does a lot to Reckoners. It's DPSing this down faster than cannon damage does. So that is the clear counter to a Reckoner. It always has been the case. Hammerheads with AP ammo and things like that will be exceptionally good. But yeah, that is the Reckoner down now, and that has bought me a lot of time and breathing room to go for my own avatars and a tier 4. So I'm going to go ahead and build that now. Not before telling Senna that that is the most I've ever seen two rocket squads do in a match. And I've got these bikes to go ahead and do some counter attack damage. So I've established my eco. I've got a full Tiberium field almost to harvest from. I've been incredibly cost effective. I went for that low eco build and it did almost certainly pay off for me. Now Senna does have an expansion now. We saw his MCV there. He managed to keep that alive, but I've got more fuel in the tank. I have a full green Tiberium expansion, and I'm also going ahead and I'm going to be taking the green field as well. Now I did some pretty slick bike micro here. I'm going to just split one off from the pack to reveal that refinery of his to one click. I felt like I was pretty on point in this game, and I'm now going to start to just target his bikes individually, not commit my full army in case he has a bigger army there. I want to be cautious. And since I have Tiberium core missiles, it's only going to require me one bike to destroy his bikes. That's the main utility of the upgrade in Bike v Bike. You can one-shot your opponent's bikes. Just a pretty big deal. Another harvester for Senna about to fall. And yeah, really at this point I'm just snowballing in this game. I have 7 avatars. Senna hasn't been able to establish eco after being ravaged over and over again by that Reckoner. And with this refinery going down, and with these avatars are starting to accumulate in numbers, this game is going to be pretty over. And I'm actually going to conclude this game here, and I'm going to go ahead and show you guys another game, because there's not much really to showcase here. Senna will lose. He is not going to be able to stop the avatars. He hasn't got any eco left. He is just stalling this. But I wanted to show this game for the super unorthodox and crazy build with the Reckoner, which I think certainly does have potential. I was late to deploy that Reckoner, and I was still able to get that in the base and do major damage. Even with Senna's quick reaction time and his response, I was still able to get that in. But it does require your opponent to not scout you. I had to sneak that emissary all the way around the map. I also had to set it up. It took a long time to set up. He had a fully established expansion, whereas I was all in on that attack. But yeah, that's going to be it. I'm just going to cruise to victory here with all these avatars. So let's go on into the next game and see what that is all about. Alright guys, I am back to do game number 2. This one was a really intense game. I thought I was really... Both me and him were really on point in this game. It's going to be on also one of my favorite maps, Toxicity. Reaper 17. But it's not going to be your typical game, as you guys know. The previous game should probably make you already guess that it's not going to be a simple spam a lot of eco harvesters into mass tripod spam. No, there's going to be more to it than that. Even though, sure, that is a great thing to do as Reaper 17, but it does make you a little predictable. Now, I don't like being predictable. I feel like if I'm unpredictable and playing well at the same time, that's an advantage for me. I understand the strengths and weaknesses of all the units because I have seen the stats, and plus I've played around with them all in-game. A lot of players are too shy to use other strategies and units, so they don't know what to do there. They're not going to shy away from the norm. But with these community patches, there are subtle differences. The meta game is not going to be significantly different, even though my patch logs are huge. It's mostly bug fixes, quality of life improvements, and like I said in the previous video, subtle refinements over existing things like the Scorpion tank change. Really like the terrain layout on this map. It does remind me a lot of Torment Decision. There's a blue Tiberium field in the middle as well for you to grab. And yeah, this game here will be pretty epic. I don't know what to say at this point, guys. There's not much that really happens in the first minute or so of the game. Usually I have a bunch of things to talk about. I did work on a patch update today. A lot of things have been done, bug fixes. You guys will see the changelog for that soon. I know some people were complaining about having issues in Red Zone Rampage. There was none to begin with, but this new update should ensure that everyone is good to go. I'm going to repeat a strategy I did a while ago with the Devourer tanks and Storm Riders. I like this strategy a lot on one base. 6 Harvesters, 2 Dev tanks, and several Corruptors of Storm Riders. Now, it does require a lot of micro, and the Dev tanks serve the purpose of destroying my opponent's Pipples and anti-air units. If my opponent opts for going for infantry, then of course that's not going to work for me. But this Rifleman Scout from center will reveal that pretty quickly for him. He's going to have ample time to prepare a response to my Dev tank, and because he saw my strategy a number of times, he can probably guess there's going to be some aircraft coming his way. Third Storm Runner does pop out. I'm going to wait before I get the 4th one, otherwise the DPS is not sufficient to destroy my opponent's Harvesters quickly enough. I have to also out DPS the War Factory repair. The Storm Riders, they have decent armor, decent health. They don't need to go back to base to reload. But the issue is the DPS is not very high. You need a lot of them to kill units quickly. They are not an effective hit and run unit, but they can sit in anti-air defenses for a longer period of time than, say, Orcas. Dev tank's not really accomplishing too much for me, but I am going to kill a Harvester. Just one Harvester is obviously nowhere near enough for this to be worthwhile. I'm going to have to pull back because my Storm Riders are on low health. Somehow all 4 of them had the damage equally distributed. 4 do remain for me. I'm going to get those back to my Gravity Stabilizer. and repair them. And now it's a game of catch up. You can see just how far behind I am due to this strategy that I opted for. A good thing for me to do right now would be to capture that defensive tower in the middle. That would offer some decent early warning to my opponent's forces, though it looks like I did already capture it. These corruptors here are going to be great against infantry, but not when they are in that number. And sadly for me, this buzzer swarm support power did not kill nearly enough infantry. So Senna, he's getting stronger and stronger, and I'm holding on here with just tier 1 units, a couple tier 2 units thrown in as well. Buzzers being produced because I did see that there are not many riflemen or APCs in the force approaching from the north. So buzzers are going to be great to tear through the army of missile squads that he has. So I'm going to just move those buzzers in, and it will accomplish the goal of making him pull back. Storm Riders flying overhead, they're just tanking shots, which is exactly what I want them to do. I don't want to lose them though, if necessary. And miraculously only one again falls. I'm going to put the Corruptor healing on that dev tank. I target down the slingshot too. That's going to limit his anti-air to just the missile squads, which are getting targeted by the Ravagers. Ravagers very good against infantry, but I prefer them more against the vehicles. They kill infantry, but they're not the best at it. They don't withstand a lot of incoming damage. They're pretty fragile, the Ravager squads. I'm just going to finish off this Predator tank and then pull back. But a lot of micro is happening here. I rebuilt the 4th Storm Rider so I can go ahead and do some more damage to my opponent. And at this point, I know I'm super behind. I know Senna's most likely got the expansion in the south. He's most likely taken his 3rd field, which means I need a means of equalizing him on the economy front. And one way of doing that is to use the shock pods support power, which is available when you build the signal transmitter as Reaper 17. I don't need to fly to my opponent's base and reveal his Tiberium field, because I can use the radar, the Tiberium vibration scan, which is free for Reaper 17. It reveals Tiberium and all Tiberium based units, and I can summon in the shock pods on the Tiberium itself after using that vibration scan ability. So I'm going to do just that now. I used the Tiberium vibration scan, and now I'm going to use the shock pods on the Tiberium. But unfortunately for me, I'm only going to get myself 1 harvest. I may not even get 1. Those hammerheads are right there to respond to that threat. Army in the Tiberium field, I anticipated he would have that there. And having these Storm Riders alive are going to be excellent against those hammerheads. If they fly into my Shardwalkers and get damaged, the Storm Riders can finish them off. They have the mobility I'm looking for. And as Reaper 17, that comes at a premium. You don't have anything besides Storm Riders. I mean, you wouldn't make packs anyways in this situation if they were available to you. Hammerheads fly in. 3 of them do emerge really damaged. And now I can use the Storm Riders, as aforementioned, to go in and take them out. These hammerheads will be taken out there. There's just no response to those Storm Riders. Harvester as well going to be focused down. I split off one of the Storm Riders specifically to target that Harvester, and I'm actually going to be able to get it as well. Support powers coming down for me. I used the Stasis Shield to split up his army, and in phase these Gunwalkers to crush the infantry. These Ravagers are going to be amazing against the Predator tanks as well. I need to focus on the APCs. If I can do that, then the Ravagers can finish off the rest. Those Hammerheads are no match for these Blue Shard Walkers. This Blue Shard upgrade is very effective against Zocom. But I'm still super behind. I don't have an expansion. Senna, meanwhile, we saw he has full eco, and he's got lots more in the bank compared to me. So I'm going to have to make some amazing trades happen. He's going to get a decent position here, cutting my army in half, and I am just unable to respond to this army of his. But what I do have is a support power that was introduced in this expansion, which is the Overlord's Wrath. It is a Tiberium meteor that lands on your opponent's army. It does sizable damage if you manage to hit it, but there is a bit long delay before it actually hits. But you can see here it does get a juicy shot off on that army, and without that I probably would not have had the forces necessary to hold this army back. But because I was able to get that army with the Overlord's Wrath, I can build Ravagers with that blue shot upgrade. I deem it to be the best thing to do in this situation, because Ravagers have good gun damage and those are effective against APCs. The Shardwalkers can deal with the Hammerheads if he just chooses to make those. And with this one Storm Rider, I can even send it into his base to scout his next transition. But the Ravagers are moving in. These Ravagers are amazing as Super 17. They have twice the damage. They don't have the speed upgrade that the Traveler 59 faction does, but instead they get a massive increase to their attack damage. And I'm microing down these APCs to protect my Ravagers, because that's the only form of anti-infantry that Senna has here. And the Ravagers are promoting up. You can see there's one there that has promoted to Heroic. Look how much damage that's doing. Shockwave Artillery comes down on this force, but I'm going to micro my forces away from that. And with this fully established expansion field, I'm going to go and build some tripods. I've got a Storm Column queued. The Storm Column is going to synergize really well with the 4 Storm Riders I'm rebuilding, because I'm expecting Hammerheads once more, or Zocom Walkers. Lots of harvesters out for me, and Senna, he's going, I think he's still on tier 2, but we see a War Factory on my field here, but that will be met with fierce resistance. That Storm Column is going to be very effective in deterring that War Factory. Heroic Ravager Squad doing what it can, but there's just too much gun damage there, and it will finally get targeted down, but it paid for itself. No Juggernauts for Zocom, so this Storm Column must be destroyed head on. Infantry isn't an option for him either, because I can use the Stasis Shield and target down that infantry, or better yet, just crush it. My Hex Pod will be produced, so this is after what, 10-15 minutes of non-stop tier 2 versus tier 2 armies. I finally do get up my tier 3, and it's coming in immense use. If I had not had that tier 3, the phase field I used on his infantry army would not have been possible. And I thought, I can't let him keep doing this harassment to me without me doing something in return. So I'm going to send a tripod around the side and hope that it gets into his Tiberium field and does huge damage to his harvesters. There's probably not much Tiberium left there anyways for him. He's probably moved his MCV somewhere else. You can see most of the Tiberium on this map is located on the right hand side. There's a growth stimulator in the north. If he grabs my northern Tiberium field, I would have essentially created a Tib field for him to harvest from. So there is disadvantages as a Scrin faction in building that sometimes. Storm Column sadly was not able to finish, and I'm going to be put down all the way to tier 3, but that's not a big deal because I was able to squeeze out and eradicate a hexapod, and this force of units is going to finish off my base there. I'm not going to sell those structures off. If you were GDI, you're advised to sell your refineries before they die, otherwise you're going to lose resources. The game will subtract a percentage of your income if you lose a refinery, so you're advised to sell them off before they die. The blue tib crystal there, which spawned from me killing his blue Tiberium harvester. And guess what's another source of income as a scrim player? Your opponent's units. This Eradicator Hex Pod can generate resources in a radius around itself. Reaper tripod getting focused down. That is one of two of my tripods. I'm going to building block there. Now these Shardwalkers are starting to work on this force of units. Storm column in the back is going to be very good for me. I'm building Storm Riders behind this because I'm expecting some huge vehicle switch. Once those infantry forces have been cleaned up, there's probably going to be no more APCs. It's probably going to be hammerheads, or yeah, I mean, I expect hammerheads at this point as a last-ditch effort. But it's not going to work because I do have a ton of Storm Riders in this Hex Pod. It's going to be really difficult to kill with that dual assimilator garrison. So I'm going to use these Storm Riders now to go into his base and harass. Not before sending up shop here. There's a full field of Tiberium from that Overlord's Wrath, which we saw earlier on in this game, do huge damage. Army will be chased up in the north, and there is another army over here for me to take out, but I've got a blue Shard Ravager in my Eradicator Hex Pod, which will be all that I need to deal with this infantry army. Senate just does not have the eco to pull this off, because I do have the Tiberium fields, all of them in fact. And Reaper 17 can snowball very fast once they are in this position. Shardwalkers, very effective with that blue Shard upgrade. And that's going to be GG. And I thought that was a pretty good game on toxicity. The previous one as well was insane. Both these games stood out in their own right in my opinion. This one for the intense tier 2 action, the blue Shardwalker combined with the Ravagers, Devour Tanks and Storm Riders are a lethal combination. Anyways guys, hope you all enjoyed these two games and this video. If you did, then don't forget the like button, I'd really appreciate that. And before I leave, I would once again like to thank all my patrons for continuing to support me, my YouTube channel, the patches, R21 and the 4K mod. There is going to be another update for R21, so be on the lookout for that. It's going to land on Command Post today or tomorrow. You don't have to download Command Post though, you can get it from the direct links. The installers of mine work independently, so you don't need to download any software. Anyways guys, I'll see you all in the next video. This is me, Master Leaf. Peace out.